Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the 5th edition of the ICCE Berlin. We welcome you to this beautiful city and to this exciting venue. If you're not aware of it, ICCE Berlin is modeled on the sister conference or our flagship conference for the Consumer Electronics Society, the ICC. ICC stands for International Conference on Consumer Electronics in Las Vegas. And I think we have referred to it only as ICCE, but I think the time has come where we have to change that and refer to it as the ICCELV. We've got so many ICCs now, it gets confusing. So the suffix of LV is going to become important, or is important now. But why do I mention that? Because we're having a similar approach to Las Vegas over here. Las Vegas, we partner with the Consumer Electronics Show, which probably at the moment is one of the largest, if not the largest, consumer electronics show in the world. And Berlin is not far behind that. So it's sort of a very close race, I think, but which show is larger, the IFA in Berlin or the CES in Las Vegas. But this year it's our 5th edition. So that means for the last 5 years we've been here. And as a society, we sort of built up a series of conferences called the ICCE. And these conferences, the first non-Las Vegas conference was here in Berlin, actually. This is where we started it, we pioneered it, and we're very proud to be affiliated with the IFA. So it's been a very successful event for us, or a successful strategy, building up our conference series. And actually, as I was reflecting on the 5th year here in this conference, I realized that last month I celebrated 50 years in the electronics industry. So it's a nice anniversary, 50 years in the industry and 5 years in Berlin. What I want to do is introduce two of our teams that help with planning and organizing this conference. As you know, it's a volunteer-led conference, and there's a number of people sitting here who really worked hard over the years, and some of them survived the years. Actually, when we talk about 5 years of ICC Berlin, that actually means 6 years of volunteer work. It takes about a year to organize. And a lot of people sort of sometimes astonished within the IEEE that we can turn this around within 12 months. But a lot of other conferences, they want 18 to 24 months, but we actually turn it around in 12 months. But being the same place helps a lot. But I wanted to introduce Dietmar Heppner, who's the co-chair, my wingman, as he likes to be called, for this conference. Dietmar has an advantage that he lives in this part of the world, and so he's sort of the local man on the ground. The other one sitting there very shyly, Professor Saikon. He's from Berlin. He's the real Berliner. And he makes all the local arrangements. And we also have Phil Hall here from the Society of Social Implications of Technology, and he sort of slid into a position on our committee and helped a lot with the work here. And so we want to sort of give you a bit of an overview of what will happen in the next 3 days. Dietmar, maybe you would like to give us a bit of a background on housekeeping and so on.
Housekeeping. So everybody who wants to take a shower, please, only one person at a time. No, I'm kidding, of course. Housekeeping, we have 4 rooms. This bigger one is, as you see, for the opening ceremony. It's also for the keynotes. There is a smaller one in the back. We have 2 other rooms. They are a bit hard to find, the Dessau 3 and Dessau 6, but there will be people leading you to this place, so you have to walk down some staircase and then cross some hall or go around the halls, which is easier, and take some time to get there. You come past a bratwurst place where you can have some coffee or drink or bratwurst, if you like. We have the food served outside during lunch and also during the coffee breaks. Dinner will be tomorrow evening. There will be buses bring you to the HHI Time Lab. That's a nice place to see on a curved wall. I think it's 8K, also in 3D. And after that, the buses will continue to the dinner site, or there will be also a bus tour, I think, directly to the dinner site. But you will get a schedule tomorrow by Hans. Do you want me to do something? Oh yeah, the Wi-Fi. We have a bit of a Wi-Fi problem. Wi-Fi is pretty expensive here in Messe Berlin, so if every one of you would like to have a private Wi-Fi connection, that would cost you $100. So advise your company to sponsor Wi-Fi for next year, so that we are then in a better position. There is limited possibility of having Wi-Fi. We have a few addresses which we can give to you. So once you make use of it, please make sure you log out again to free the capacity for other people. Thank you very much.
Great. Thanks, Tigger.
So, Phil? Oh. The nice person to the right of me is Phil. He's from Australia too, and he will talk about...
I'll just introduce SRT and then...
oh yeah, the SSIT.
Yeah, but Australia
Oh
living
yeah.
in the US.
So if you want to meet him, you either go to the UK, to the US, or to Australia, and just wait for some time, and he will show up there.
Pop up somewhere along the line. Thanks, Dimo. It's a pleasure to be here. I'm representing the Society for Social Implications of Technology. This is our first year as a technical co-sponsor of ICCE Berlin. And we look forward to a much longer and a mutually beneficial arrangement going forward. So I really appreciate that. There is some copies of our Technology and Society magazine, which is up there complimentary for you to take away. I think there's 2 editions, the June and maybe the one earlier than that. And there's also a one-page brochure flyer with some information on who we are, what we're about, and also links to our website. So please consider that. SSIT does promote itself more as your second society of choice. We see ourselves more as a horizontal society, looking at the social implications, ethics, and the beneficial of technology and how it is used in society, particularly looking at things like ubiquitous devices and other issues like that. So please take a copy of the magazine. We also have a slideshow that we'll hopefully be playing at some point during the breaks and over lunch, and that has some other information on it as well. I'm on the SSIT Board of Governors. I'm the 2016 Vice President-elect. I chair the Conference and Event Program and also the Distinguished Lecture Program. So on behalf of SSIT, it's a pleasure for us to be involved with this conference. Thank you for inviting us and being part of the show.
Thank you, Phil. I'd like to invite Nahum Gershom, Dr. Nahum Gershom, up. He's representing the life sciences community, which is also co-sponsoring us. Actually, this year we have something new, and what's new this year is that we're not running the conference completely on our own. We looked at consumer electronics, and so consumer electronics become a big, diverse field. And what we find is we're overlapping with a number of other societies within the IEEE, like SSIT, social implications. And if you actually see society member, what you will see is in the magazine, there's an increase of articles relating to social implications, which SSIT is working with us. So we're having a good partnership there. But apart from that, we're also looking at overlaps of technical interest. And life sciences community, healthcare is a big growth area for consumer electronics. And a lot of people are talking about how consumer electronics is going to change healthcare. So to represent the life sciences community, I'd like to hand over to Dr. Nahum Gershom.
I know it's Deutschland here, but you can call me Nahum here. Okay? If you want really to be, if you really would like to be formal, you have to call me Professor Doctor. Okay? But in any case, the consumer technology, or as it is called sometimes in this circle, consumer electronics, is going through massive change. There is a new era in consumer technology that involves humans in a very, very, very tight way. And I think that it's no longer possible for just with an engineering degree to design wearable computing devices that would actually work well. And I'll talk about it in my talk and give you some examples where industry actually failed. So we come here to form the bridge between consumer electronics or consumer technology and the life sciences, which includes biology, psychology, and also medicine. And I'll give some examples in my talk. And I brought lots of brochures that are very heavy, so please take some. They will be there on the table. And please join the community through the website. During my talk, I probably will force all the audience to join, if you didn't join so far. So, thank you.
Thank you, Nahum. I'd like to call Professor Turgeon from Taiwan. He's representing reliability. Nahum talked about life sciences, the quality of designs. In the morning we had an interesting tutorial about product liability and how important that is. And for consumer electronics, where there's very low profit margins and high volumes to get through, anything that goes wrong can cause problems. Professor Turgeon represents the Reliability Society. Reliability is a big issue in consumer electronics, so I'll hand over to him.
Thank you. Yeah, nice to meet you, Frank. Yeah, I'm Turgeon. I'm here to represent Reliability Society to welcome you to join this conference to share your work for us. The mission of our Reliability Society is to development to broadcast best practice for effective reliability of professionals. So we provide value-add benefit to bring reliability professional together. So we broad cover many fields. Such as reliability, maintainability, testability, human interface system, safety, and system security, and so on. All related work of device, hardware, software, system, product manufacturer are welcome. So our chapter coordinator is Laura, and VP membership is Masha. And here is their email address if you have interested in our work or our event, or if you have any good idea, please email to us. And most important, be happy here and enjoy good beer. And please remind to join Reliability Society. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So as we can see, reliability is a core requirement for consumer products. Similarly, we have product safety as a core requirement. We hear often about fires breaking out and major recalls. We talked about recalls this morning in the tutorial, but I don't know if in Europe you heard of it, but in Australia there was a major recall for Samsung, and Samsung's got an image problem now because the white goods, not the brown goods, but the white goods have caused a lot of safety issues in Australia, fires and things like that. So we can see that reliability and safety aspects are very important. So to present the Safety Society, I'd like to call Dr. Steli Lawrence from Israel to come up here and represent the Product Safety Society.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good day. Nice to be present here, and thanks to the Consumer Electronics Society to invite us to attend this event here. I take this opportunity to give the good things and the good wishes from the youngest society of the IEEE. This is the Product Safety Engineering Society. You have here in this small leaflet, which is present in the back of the room, some information. I don't want to make here sale promotion for the society, but we consider that product safety is one of the main issues which can make a liaison between our two society. And to be member in both society of this will be a really advantage. In any case, I am very much impressed about the organization of this event and congratulate the organization, all the people which is involved here, and we wish the good luck and good success in these 3 days of the event. Thank you.
When we're looking at product development, from the practical application, not the pure academic research side, safety, reliability are major issues. And if you ever designed or worked in an R&D lab, you know that these are the things that hold up your designs if you can't get it right. And there's one more area which is very important to the applied side of consumer electronics. That's electromagnetic compatibility. I remember as an engineer, I spent a lot of hours in shielded rooms trying to solve problems, and we used to have the standing joke in the labs that so after lunch when you're tired, you want to do EMC measurements because nobody can disturb you. When there's no telephone, nothing there, you can have a good sleep while you're doing your testing. Here to represent the EMC Society is Dr. Frank Sabat. He wants to say a few words, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, for inviting us to this conference. I'm the president-elect of the EMC Society, and I'm representing all those people in your programs that you're looking to as dealing with black magic, hanging around in some far edges of the laboratory, and whenever they raise their hands, there's cost issues and trouble assigned to that. Just joking that. Electromagnetic compatibility becomes more and more important, particularly if you are increasing the number of consumer electronics out there, and we take care that all the electronic devices interact with each other in a friendly manner, so that they do not harm each other, that there are no effects, and that your cell phone is not steering your car in a different direction. And in fact, as consumer electronics becomes smaller and smaller and more powerful, and we put more electronics in cars and automotives, whatever, the challenges for us will increase, and I will address that tomorrow in a keynote. And from our society, we are happy to be here. We are happy that we could contribute a session to that, to your technical program, and we are looking forward to a long future working together and contributing some issues to your conference.
Good. Thank you. As you can see, what's happening this year is we have some societies participating here which address the applied nature. We want to reach out to industry and get more industry practitioners, and by just having pure academic papers, we don't really attract them, but having sessions in here like safety, reliability, EMC, these are the things that practitioners are really confronted with in a day-to-day job. And I hope that if you're here for some research reasons, you might take some time and attend some of those sessions, because they're not totally irrelevant to what we're doing. You know, you can have the best design or the best solution for something, but if you can't make it safe, can't get rid of interference issues, you can't sell. You know, and I have experienced my own career where we've had innovative thoughts and ideas, and we couldn't get the safety and the EMC compliance resolved. You know, we couldn't make it reliable enough because of cost reasons. Because often and traditionally in the past, EMC was an afterthought. I built it, tested, and then everything is done, and I hand it to the EMC people, and they tell me, oh, it doesn't work. That's why he talks about the black magic. And a note of black magic, one of the world-leading EMC specialists once said, he can solve 85% of all EMC problems and understand why he solves them. There's another 10% he can solve, but he can't explain how he solves them. And there's about 5% he can't solve and he can't explain. Right? You have to see if you can live it or not. So it's very relevant and very interesting field for our industry. So I was
just going to say, Stefan, that's an interesting point. I was at an IEEE conference in Glasgow back in July, and industry participation actually was a big talking point. Apparently in the IEEE membership, there's almost about 50% of members actually come from industry, and yet industry participation, apart from sponsorship at conferences through practitioner tracks, is actually quite low. So there's now a concerted effort within IEEE to re-engage with industry, because we have so much to learn back into the research and academic area from actually how that work translates into products and industry experience. So having conferences like this one, co-located or co-hosted with a technology expo, I think we're going to see a lot more of IEEE conferences with that sort of format.
That's correct, Phil. And just to show what we've done with this here, I'd like to invite Dr. Susanne Wende to come up and say a few words. Why am I inviting her up? She's been actively involved with the Product Safety Society, but more importantly, we're having a regular column in our magazine about product liability, patent law, and so on. And I think that's an extra feature. Whether you're a researcher or a practical engineer, practicing engineer in industry and R&D labs and so on, I think the legal aspects of the work we're doing is becoming more and more critical. We had a bit of discussion of that in our tutorial this morning, so I'll hand over to Dr. Wende.
Thank you, Stefan. Yeah, happy to be here again. I'm Susanne Wende, as Stefan just introduced me, and I'm a lawyer. I'm a German lawyer working for NÖR LLP, which is quite a big law firm, and we're based in Germany, but we advise our clients throughout the European Union what to do if you want to place your products onto the European market, starting with safety requirements, other product compliance requirements, trademark protection. Did you think about your trademark protection before coming to the European market? Patent protection. So we have experts in these different fields that work together on giving you the perfect package for coming to the European market most efficiently and without having a sales ban on the second day you brought your products here. And I enjoy very much being involved in and working with IEEE, and mainly the Product Safety Engineering Society, because according to my experience I gained over the last 2 years, it's a very vivid community of discussion, technical discussion, high educated technical experts that know a lot and can present their knowledge in a way that everybody can understand and take advantage of it. And the discussions that I was involved in also went beyond the purely technical facts, going to the philosophical questions on smart products. Who's having the responsibility? Do I have to know what I do when I buy some gadget and app for measuring my blood sugar and all these things? So it's technical, philosophical discussion, and also the legal questions surrounding it. And very often we find that technical and legal people talk about the same things, but they have a different language, and it's so interesting to find this common language. And I think this can also be something very advantageous for the practical questions and practical problems and issues when selling our product, selling consumer electronics. So thank you for having me here.
Thank you.
Stefan, it's my first time to ICCE conferences, and firstly, my first time to Berlin, but you mentioned before that this is your 5th one?
That's correct.
And obviously, each year there's been more and more engagement through other IEEE societies and technical groups. So what's next with respect to the growth of this conference? So you have a vision with your team of how this conference is going to go further?
Yes, as I said, first of all, we can see that we're sort of adding the applied sciences into this conference and bringing the things in that practitioners need to know, which are very relevant to them, like we just discussed so far. But that's not all. We're also looking at how consumer electronics is evolving and changing, and that's very important for us. And for that, we've partnered with some other societies, and I'd like to invite Tom Coughlin, although he's one of our long-established members and speakers. He's also got another hat on here, which he took off. He is representing the cloud community, right? So I'll let Tom talk a bit about cloud community and how it relates to consumer electronics.
Well, I don't want to be too ethereal or nebulous here, but I'm a member of the IEEE Future Directions Committee, and one of the activities there is called cloud computing. Cloud computing, as you know, and things that go on in the cloud is really talking about data centers, large places where they have a lot of industrial enterprise equipment, both for storage, for networking, and also for processing. And this is a very important initiative, and one that actually has a lot of meaning for consumer electronics. All the applications you're running on your phones, all of the things that we're doing nowadays, basically they're actually running in those remote data centers. So it's a very important element of that in terms of providing services and the capabilities we use day to day in consumer electronics. Another element in the cloud computing initiative is something that's often called fog computing or edge computing. The idea of ad hoc connections between devices like this that are out in the field that can establish their own networks to accomplish activities. And this also relates to the developing area of something called the Internet of Things, which you may have heard about as well. All these are going to be very, very important factors in the growth of consumer electronics, and it's really a pleasure to be able to have some participation in this conference on this important topic. Thanks.
Tom, did you want to plug your panel for tomorrow?
Yes. What time is it now?
2:30, is it?
So I think we are, yes, we actually have a panel discussion on the Internet of Things, which will be tomorrow at 5 o'clock, I believe is the time. I think that hasn't changed. So you're welcome to come join us there. Also, if you're interested, I'm the tail end speaker for the conference here, and I'm going to talk about the future of consumer electronics. So if I see a few in the room, that'd be awful nice, because it's nice to have folks in there when you're talking. Thank you.
Thank you, Tom. You're welcome. Okay, this year you asked what was new, Phil,
Yeah.
and one of the things we are doing, we're in Germany. What's Germany famous for? Automotive industry.
Yeah.
And the beer, yeah.
And beer.
pretzels.
That's Tom, he always thinks of food. Okay, since automotive industry is very important here, last year I visited the Technical University of Munich, and they told me the mechanical engineering department, due to the automotive industry, had several thousand students, and it was like 3 to 4 times the number of students enrolled compared to electronics. And that was a bit surprise for me. But we are also moving into, well, automotive industry is becoming more and more consumer electronics oriented. And I think one of the signs for that was a couple of years ago, at one of the ICCE conferences, the CTO of Volkswagen came along and give a presentation there. And today, the IEEE has a community which also looks at electric vehicle, like transport technology, and I'd like to invite Mr. Lee Stogner to come up and talk a bit about the Vehicle Technology Group.
Good morning. My name is Lee Stogner, and for the recent years, I've chaired the IEEE Transportation Electrification Initiative. And with that, did you know the IEEE was big in electric vehicles and connected vehicles and automated vehicles and finally autonomous vehicles? Well, we didn't either about 5 years ago. We started looking around the IEEE as things got hot, if you will, in the world of new electrified transportation, and we found that 19 of the IEEE societies were very much involved in electrified transportation. Everything from energy storage, high efficiency motors, power electronics, consumer electronics, and a lot of other things. So we formed what's called an initiative which brought together people from all over the world to help us focus on building a forum so the world of technologists could find out more about what we're doing and most importantly, what we can do for them. So now the initiative is in place. We've got a journal, we've got a magazine, we're producing IP, and we've got people talking about the IEEE and electrified transportation, which is a great way to engage industry, academia, government, and other professional organizations, because too often we Americans think the world revolves around us, but really there's a lot of other people, from the Germans, the Chinese, Japan, and so on, all around the world that are deeply involved in transportation. We have reached out to them. They now talk to us. We talk to them. And it's fun going forth, making sure we've got a nice integrated world conversation on what we can do to improve safe, efficient, connected transportation all around the world. We'll talk more about this on Wednesday afternoon. I'm right after Tom Coughlin. Right before Tom Coughlin, and we'll get you engaged. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks. So, Stefan, going forward, then we can expect future ICCE conferences in Berlin to have much more of a automobile or transport actual flavour to it. in terms of how the technology develops, as you were saying, Lee, into autonomous technologies, particularly, which is an area I'm particularly interested in.
That's correct. And actually, if you think of it, transport might not appreciate the amount of consumer electronic components that are in there. Look at how cars have changed over the last few years. The electronics that's in there, the human interface design that goes into it, it's all evolving from our industry. So this is where we're going. This is where our future lies, you know. And so we're going to bring all this here to our conference.
And I would imagine as the development of autonomous, ubiquitous devices and Google Glass and things like that, we'll start to see more of that flow through into the conference as well. And I mentioned to our doctoral workshop yesterday about the growth of BCI, brain-computer interface technologies. And I just find that part fascinating. And of course, that's going to have all sorts of issues from the legal aspects as well. So pretty exciting times ahead.
There is, and I think we've got a good combination and a good support from relevant other technical communities which are going to help us grow and expand and make this probably one of the most relevant conferences within the IEEE. So that's my vision for the future of this event here.
Excellent.
And the other thing is too is we also have the eye for, you know, here we're talking about the future of what's going to happen in the next 10 years or so, but what's happening right now today, just walk outside the booths there and have a look around there.
Excellent. So speaking of that, I suppose we'd better look at what we're going to be talking about today in
That's
today's
correct.
program.
Yeah. What do we have on today, Phil?
We've got 3 keynote speakers today, and to refer to my Google glasses. That's meant to be a joke, by the way, in case we're hanging out for lunch. But I think very soon coming up we'll have our first keynote speaker on, which is Professor Brandenburg on recent developments in audio technology. And Stefan, I don't know if you want to make a comment about what we can expect with Professor Brandenburg's keynote?
Yes, I'd really like to. I think we're very honored to have Professor give us a keynote speech to tell us what his vision of the future is for digital audio, but more importantly, for what's going to happen tomorrow.
Yes. Right. I've got that down as today's.
Yeah. Okay. I just want to bring that in first because we're talking about Professor Brandenburg. Tomorrow he's offered to give us tutorials on digital audio. There's a bit of a program in parallel, so if you can't make his tutorial, we're going to tape it and make it available. But I think it's a very much of a privilege for us to have such a high-profile person come and give us really the state of art and technology in that area.
Just on the keynote formats, I've noticed we've got them down for about 40 minutes, which I assume will be about 30-minute presentations and about 10-minute for question time. So there is an opportunity for the audience to interact with the keynote speaker. That's right. We'd like to have that people can interact, and most of the keynote speakers are still around afterwards, so they can come and talk to them privately. Fantastic. Then immediately following that, of course, is lunch. And Dietmar, do you just want to reiterate what the arrangements are for lunch on each day and refreshments?
Well, for lunch, typically we have 2 courses you can select from. You can come from 2 sides, so both queues can have the same menu, I think. And then in the breaks you have coffee, water and anything, so just help yourself.
Great, thank you. And this afternoon we have 2 keynote speakers. Keynote number 2, the intersection of healthcare and consumer electronics. Unless the program's changed, that's Brian Markwater from the States. That's right. Brian Markwater is the Senior Vice President in the CES. That's a CEA, Consumer Electronics Association, which is a big trade organization in the U.S. And he's been exposed and has a lot of experience with what the developments are between consumer electronics and healthcare. So I'm really looking forward to listening to his talk this afternoon. And that's going to be followed up by a series of research papers, I think. That's correct. Then we have our research sessions. Okay. And I did make a mistake. I said 2 this afternoon. There's actually 3 this afternoon. I forgot about myself being the last one, but don't worry about that. And then keynote 3 at 4:40, Technical Standards Electrical Industry by Thomas Gnink. Now, he was the gentleman who couldn't arrive this morning. Now, he's okay for this afternoon's presentation? My understanding is, yeah, there was some delay. I'm not sure what it was at this stage. I haven't had a chance to look at my emails, but yes, he should be here this afternoon, I believe. Should. And he'll give us an interesting talk about standards and patents and things like that, so that we're looking forward to that talk. Right. Now, you're going to be staying around for that one as well this afternoon, or have you got to shoot back to the office? Right, okay, cool. And then we'll wrap up the day, and I've drawn the short straw of being the last speaker for the day at my keynote, and I'll be talking about the social implications of drones. That's the short title. The longer title is the national security and social implications of remotely piloted aircraft systems. And I'll be giving a summary of some of the work I've been doing over the last 12 months, dealing across the whole industry, from regulators down through lawyers on privacy and insurance companies and academics. So it'll be an interesting show, I hope.
That will be interesting, actually. That's why we got you last. I think people want to listen about and hear about drones.
Well, I notice we're not keeping anyone away from a welcome reception or official dinner, so at least the people won't be necessarily racing off to, for dinner at 6 o'clock.
That's
probably
right.
for a beer maybe, but I'm conscious that 6 o'clock is around about beer o'clock anyway.
Not in this part of the world, beer o'clock all day.
And Stefan and I were talking a bit earlier too, and we thought we might do a little bit of a snapshot in the first thing in the morning and also just after lunch. Probably not today because we've pretty much done it with this one. Just to give you a brief update on program changes and probably highlight some of the parts of the program that you may not be aware of or have glossed over in your reading. So.
That's right, and I think we're sending emails out to all participants as well, so you can see what the highlights of the day are. So in case you missed it in the program or something like that, or weren't aware of what it is, so you can come along and listen to the sessions you'd like to see. If you miss any of the keynotes or tutorials, we're trying to tape most of it. Can't guarantee we'll get it all done. We'll make it available shortly after the conference on our website. We'll put up the website address later on.
Great. Excellent. Well, that's we're pretty much on time now for our next keynote.
Just one remark I want to make. I want to thank the technical program chairs, Jose Maria Flores Arias from University of Cordoba and Milan Bjelica from Novi Sad, for their extensive work to put up the program for us. It was really hard. We're dealing with all the submissions, with the late submissions, even later submissions. And we hope you will enjoy the program, which is a nice collection of oral presentation, poster presentations, and of course also keynotes and tutorials. Thank you.
Yeah, it's time to say thank you, but before we go into the details of thank you, this is the 5th anniversary, and I think it's sort of a major milestone. I remember when we had the first event in Berlin, there was a Polish professor here, and he looked at me and said, "I don't believe you're going to run this conference forever." And he said, I'll believe you have a chance of running this conference a long time if you make 5 years. We've made the 5-year mark. So I think it's very important to mention that. The president at that time who approved this conference is Steve Duke, so thanks, Steve. It's sort of, I think it was a good foresight. We took a big risk in those days. We didn't know how we were going to be received or what it would be like to come to Europe. And I'd like to say one thing, but once we announced the ICCE Berlin for the first time, I received emails, and the first email came from Spain, and it was, "What took you so long?" I think it's been well received, and it's moving ahead. So our technical program committee, Jose Maria, Milan, Dietmar, Hans, they've all been working very hard. And by the way, Hans is his 5th anniversary involved in this conference, so he's the oldest serving member of this conference. So Hans, stand up. And he's a quiet man, but he does a lot of the legwork. Without Hans, it would probably be impossible to have this event here. He makes sure everything is done. He sends you out your registration tickets and so on. So thank you, Hans. I'd also like to thank the CE Society for supporting this, then also our 7 societies who've come along and to support this event as well. What you probably don't realize is IEEE is not a legal entity in Germany. We are present in Germany, but not a legal entity. This being the case, it's not easy for us to run a conference. We have no means of paying tax and things like that. We have to do as a good citizen. So we partnered with the German VDE, and Dr. Volker Schanz is here as well. Maybe you can stand up. we want to thank him for DDE's support and help with this event. Also, I think tomorrow or this afternoon, Mr. Kozlowski from the IFA is coming along to say hello, and we need to thank the IFA as well. IFA, or IFA, as you call it in Germany, is helping us in this conference, providing us with the rooms and the facilities. When we first planned this event, one of our colleagues is not here today, Professor Hasse from Japan. I said to him, we need to have a conference in Germany. I actually was going to go to Munich, because Munich is a very sort of major hub for electronics. And then Hasse said, no, you don't go to Munich, you go to the IFA. And I sort of said, well, okay, how do we do contacts? And as a good Japanese man, he knew who to see. And he arranged, a man from Japan arranges us to come here to Berlin to the IFA. So I thought that was a sort of good historical note. We should be appreciating that. And IFA has been really very supportive of our event here, and they're doing a lot for us to be able to come here and to be present here. And I'd like to thank all the authors who submitted papers, everybody who came here to register. It shows that you appreciate this event and that there's a future here. And I think with the way we're promoting and changing our conference, make it more relevant, it's not just you come here and present your papers so you get your brownie points. It's come here, you can network with people from all over the world, and there's a very big international community here today. We have some of the world's leading experts here. Plus, we're diversifying. We're giving you a broader picture of what is happening in the consumer electronics field. So thank you all for coming. I hope you enjoy the 3 days, and I hope to get to meet many of you over the next few days. Thank you all.